I mean, seriously, do you think the little girl who owned Miss Keisha talked to her through a magic 8-ball and expected a response back from her? No, I don't think so. Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. In this one I'm going to be talking to you guys about the last movie that I saw in theaters, which was called The House with a Clock in Its Walls. I actually saw it with my best friend Brennan and I ended up talking a little bit about it before, but now I'm going to go into more details about why I wasn't a big fan of it. So basically this is going to be 50 things I hated about the movie. So let's just get into it. So, number one, the title, The House with a Clock in Its Walls, is the least creative, thought-provoking one I've heard in a long time, maybe in my whole life. Anyone who could have came up with it at the top of their head in 2 seconds, yeah, out of all the other available titles in the world to choose from, they actually went with it. Number two, the director, Eli Roth, is trying way too hard to be Tim Burton. Everyone knows that Tim Burton is the best childhood-appropriate horror movie director of our time, and no one else can surpass him, especially not this guy. Well, everyone knows that but him, apparently. The third thing I hated was that Florence Zimmerman is one of the most hideous names I've ever heard. Anyone who would willingly name their child that obviously hates them. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. I mean, Florence Zimmerman, come on, people. Lewis's goggles are absolutely ridiculous. No one, let alone a kid, would willingly wear those unless a gun was pointed at their head, and even then they might be a little reluctant. I mean, come on. Have you seen those things? You can only stare at them for so long without feeling like you're gonna get sick. Also, the last name Barnevelt is ridiculous. I've never heard of anyone with this name in real life, but speaking of getting sick, it sure does sound like a name I'd get confused with vomit. Hanchett is another ridiculous last name. Blanchett, as in Kate Blanchett, is elegant. Hanchett, on the other hand, simply isn't. Writing P.S. Sorry for the stain on the letter, that's chocolate, and a letter apologizing to a child for the death of his parents isn't funny. Was I supposed to laugh at this part? Did anyone out there even smile? Okay, no, I didn't think so. How is the same child we're talking about right now supposed to be talking to his parents through a magic 8-ball of all things if the one thing they have in common with Miss Keisha is that they're dead? I mean, seriously, do you think the little girl who owned Miss Keisha talked to her through a magic 8-ball and expected a response back from her? No, I don't think so. Kate Blanchett's character, Florence Zimmerman, greatly underestimates her skills as an actress. The fact that she actually agreed to play this role is a mystery to me. All I can say is I hope they paid her good money for it because, truth be told, if I was her after reading the script, I wouldn't have given it a second thought. Anyone whose first time seeing her on the big screen is because of this mess, I highly encourage to check out her other films instead. It's definitely a sight that will help your newly sore eyes, so don't hurt yourself any more than you already have by not taking my advice. The dialogue, do you like Halloween? Oh no. I keep those up all year round. Wouldn't set chills up the spine of my 3-year-old brother. The layer of mystery that the director was trying to incorporate into the scene was just embarrassing.
It's embarrassing how that went. It's embarrassing how that went.
Nobody has that many clocks in their house. Trust me, I would know because the creators behind the show My Strange Addictions would be the first one to cover it, not this Nickelodeon original movie-esque production team that somehow managed to get into theaters. No. Wait a minute. Actually, I take that back. Nickelodeon movies could do better than this. I myself could even gather my friends and come up with a better production team than this one. The insults Florence and Jonathan are constantly throwing at each other sound like things the director's son was asked to come up with, because he couldn't think of any good ones on his own. Old hag this, giant head that, and everything else they call each other probably wouldn't impress my 3-year-old little brother either. The dialogue between Jonathan and Lewis and Jonathan and Miss Hanchett, is that a robe? It's a kimono, is a disgrace to running gags. Steven Hillenburg, the writer of SpongeBob, is turning in his grave right now, all thanks to this Eli Roth guy. The setting is so inconsistent that I wouldn't be surprised if the creators were on drugs during the making of it. One minute the setting is a gothic mansion built in the late 1800s to early 1900s. The next is an 80s feel-good comedy about two unlikely best friends trying to survive elementary school or even middle school together. During gym class, Lewis refuses to take off his goggles, even during a basketball game, yet he acts like it's such a mystery that he gets picked last, proving even further that he doesn't fit in with any of the other kids. I think that by doing this, the creators are trying way too hard to make him seem different and special because no other kid, not in a million years, would be so clueless. I mean, they clearly serve him no purpose anyway. Lewis and his new friend then discuss the sinistry of the place he now calls his home, which he learns is also known as a slaughterhouse because apparently an old man died there years ago. This gives him the opportunity to mention his concern about Jonathan always wandering through the house in search of something, which is really just more lame than anything else. Later on in the day, Lewis has a dream of his mom warning him that he's in danger without giving him a reason why, even though the reason he went to live with Jonathan in the first place is so he would have someone to take care of him. Speaking of Lewis's mom, I really can't mourn her death because the fact that she's his mom is really all there is to her. She doesn't seem to have any other personality traits or memories attached to her, which makes her a really one-dimensional character who just seems to be popping up out of nowhere all the time. And in the middle of the night, Lewis goes downstairs where he discovers a room full of weird decorations and furniture, along with a crazy-looking Uncle Jonathan beating a clock to death with an axe, which terrifies him. It's honestly so dramatic that it even hurts me to watch. So if you find yourself cringing at that scene, just know you're not alone. At this point, just when Lewis can't seem to be any more terrified than he already is, these decorations and furniture seem to be coming to life, which I'm sure is every kid's biggest nightmare, being attacked by inanimate objects that suddenly come to life at night. Much to Lewis's surprise, though, they're not all out to get him because, according to Jonathan, they actually like him, which is totally random, just like the next statement he makes, which is that he's actually a warlock. What does all of this have to do with these clocks that are supposed to be the main center of attention, you ask? Well, I couldn't tell you the answer. The only person who can provide an explanation for how clocks and warlocks have any correlation whatsoever is Jonathan, who claims that another warlock, Isaac, and his wife Selena installed a magic clock in the walls before their deaths. It was meant to be a practical joke to drive Jonathan crazy, and instead of moving out, he did what any normal guy would do, and decided to buy even more to drown out the noise. Unfortunately for him though, that didn't work, which is hopefully only a surprise to him, or else I'm incredibly concerned for the future of the human race. Upon hearing all of this brand new information, Lewis immediately decides that he wants to become a warlock so badly that he begs Jonathan to give him whatever books he needs to study in order to reach that point, and reads them all as quickly as he possibly can. He hardly knows anything about them, so this scene seems really rushed, like the creators created a challenge for themselves to see how much they could fit into 2 hours of screen time. And despite how easygoing Jonathan prides himself on being, setting no rules whatsoever in the house, a random cabinet that appears out of nowhere is the one thing he warns Lewis to open unless he wants to be kicked out of the house, without even explaining what it is. Once again, here the writers are trying to fit way too much into a matter of 2 hours. Deep down, Jonathan and Florence truly fear that the magic clock in the wall is dangerous, meaning not only did Isaac do more than pull a practical joke on him, but he also lied to Lewis when he could have told the truth instead. Lewis is on the path to becoming a warlock now, after all, so why keep any secrets from him, especially when they're supposed to be getting closer than ever before to make up for all the time they spent apart when his parents were still alive. The fact that Jonathan was unnecessarily dishonest with Lewis is only proven more and more as the movie progresses, with Lewis strengthening his skills as a magician and listening to the reason behind why Jonathan wasn't as close to the rest of the family as he could have been as the self-proclaimed Black Swan of the family. Mrs. Hanchett, whose ridiculous name I mentioned earlier in the video, is an unnecessary character. Her character has no purpose in the movie at all, not even providing an additional layer of comedy to the movie since it's not funny to begin with. Whether she was there or not really wouldn't make a difference because all she really ever does is complain. Since every piece of furniture in the house apparently has a mind of itself, they act like animals as if that's supposed to be comedic as well, when in reality, it's just stupid and unnecessary. Lewis and his friend Turby go from being on great terms to alright terms in a matter of seconds just because he gets his cast removed and is voted class president, when before he didn't seem to care about maintaining any image at all. He was just himself, a seemingly nice and easygoing kid. But this kid's character completely changes when he agrees to go over Lewis's house and opens the cabinets Lewis warns him not to go open out of respect for Jonathan, making him seem like an entirely different person. Every character's facial expression when they see something that catches them off guard is way too dramatic. They're supposed to be professional movie actors, not kids who are cast in an elementary school play. It seems so forced and fake. It bothers me so much because acting should come naturally to good actors. This is especially true for Lewis and Jonathan. The relationship between Jonathan and Florence is supposed to be close friends, yet they insult each other and argue with each other every time they find themselves in the same room together, whether someone else is there or not. They get so carried away with putting each other down that it's hard to believe they're as close as they claim to be. For Lewis, seeing his mom in his sleep doesn't just happen once, but many, many times. In one instance, she even urges him to pick up the book Jonathan told him not to a second time, just to impress Turby, which is just another example of how the characters go out of character. If she wants him to be safe so badly, then why does she do that? Lewis wanting Turby's approval so badly is really stupid. He literally just met him and knows he'll get in trouble by taking a second look at the book with him, yet he seems to care about having someone to walk to class with more than having a place to live. All the family he really has left is Jonathan and Florence, yet he's willing to ruin it all over one person. Like basically every other name in this mess of a movie, Turby is also a stupid name. Just putting it out there so all you people never consider naming your future kids that. And if you already have made the mistake of doing that, it's not too late to get a name change. It's honestly never too late to do that when your name is Turby. None of the decorations in the house serve any purpose. The girl who goes to school with Lewis and Turby serves no purpose either. Turby acts like he cares about magic, then all of a sudden stops when he's the one who pushed Lewis to go deeper into it all along. And when Lewis tries to talk to Turby about what he did, he threatens to beat him up out of nowhere. And just when you think there can't be any more out-of-place changes in the setting, Lewis, Jonathan, and Florence all end up going to a diner of all places to study magic. Then, Jonathan and Florence discover that the purpose of the clock in the wall is to set back time to the very beginning when no one, not even a warlock in a movie, could possibly be that powerful. The amount of side plots in this movie is insane. Dead parents, new friends, and practicing magic are just a few I thought I might add. And now, I know I said Mrs. Hanchett doesn't serve any purpose, but she randomly turns into Isaac's supposedly dead wife, Selena, simply by kissing his corpse when he comes back to life, revealing that she never actually died in the first place. I honestly find this more funny than anything because of how it's all played out. I guess you could say that things are really only funny in my eyes when no one means for them to be, in this movie at least. Also, the transformation from Mrs. Hanchett to Selena is really stupid. Need I say more about that? Selena then transforms into Lewis's mom, but how would she even know what she looks like? I mean, the boy literally just moved into the neighborhood. And the war is just another one of those many, many side plots. No one ever really knows how Florence's daughter and husband died, just that they did. The evil pumpkins are another really stupid thing, and they're also super gross. Despite the constantly changing setting, the cinematography is really nice, so it's basically all going to waste. And finally, there are really no morals, so it doesn't teach us any important lessons. Well, there. I literally just went through 50 things I hated about this movie, so you could say that it was pretty terrible. Like I called the last video that I made, The House with the Clock in Its Walls, was terrible, but I never have no reason to dislike something, but I had so many in here. So whether you liked it or not, I'd like for you to share your opinions in the comments with me down below, or just simply give it a like, because that's always appreciated. But I hope that you guys enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it for you guys, even though the topic was a stupid movie. And stay tuned for my next one. Bye!